bulge. In that disease condition, one's eyes bulge due to the pressure of air from within, and his glands become congested with mucus. He has difficulty breathing, and upon exhaling and inhaling, he produces a sound like ghura ghura, a rattling within the throat. Verse number 17 of the 30th chapter of third canto. Sayana pariso cha bhed parivita subandhubhi vachyamana apina brute kalapasava samgata sayana pariso cha bhed parivit subandhubhi vaya Vachyamano apina brute kalapasavasamgatam. Synonyms. Sayana, lying down. Parisochavit, lamenting. Parivita, surrounded. Subandhubi, by his relatives and friends. Vachyamana, being urged to speak. Api, although. No, not. Brute, he speaks. Kala, of time. Pasa, the news. Vasam, under the control of. Gata, gone. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. In this way, he comes under the clutches of death and lies down, surrounded by lamenting friends and relatives. And although he wants to speak with them, he no longer can because he is under the control of time. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. For formality's sake, when a man is lying on his deathbed, his relatives come to him and sometimes they cry very loudly, addressing the dying man, "Oh, my father, oh, my friend, or oh, my husband." In that pitiable situation, the dying man wants to speak with them and instruct them of his desires. But because he's fully under the control of the time factor, death, he cannot express himself, and that causes him inconceivable pain. He's already in a painful condition because of disease, and his glands and throat are choked up with mucus. He's already in a very difficult position, and when he's addressed by his relatives in that way, his grief increases. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namo Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamlam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathambitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Sri Vishakhapitam Cha He Krishna Karuda Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanuste Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarivashcha Kripa Sindhuve Vachapatisanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवास आदि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Nivasaय Nityaya Paramatmane Balabhadra Subhadraya Jagannathaya Danam. So thank you so much for joining this wonderful Sangha. So in these two verses, Kapila the personality of Godhead, is speaking to his mother, Mother Devahuti, the daughter of Emperor Swayambhu Manu, and Satrupa. And in this wonderful discussion between mother and son, Kapiladev being the son and he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Mother Devahuti, Kapiladev is explaining about the impact uh, or the adverse impact of too much fruitive activities. And this is getting to a point where in this verse, in this Sankhya philosophy, in this chapter, is focusing around the adverse effects of too much of material activity. And here in these two verses, primarily, Lord Kapiladev uh, is explaining about when a person is attached too much in his life in material activities, his end from this material world is turning into a mess. It turns into very difficult situation. He basically doesn't want to leave this world, but he must leave because his time is up. And Lord, as time, Krishna, as time, has identified that this is the time span he has to survive and he has to do his duties. And then he has to either move up or move down or go back or do whatever Krishna prescribes. So, as Lord has played with all of us as time, because Lord Krishna says he's time, and with time he has pretty much taken everything away from us. And in the final 2 or 3 days of a person's life is so beautifully explained. And if we do not discuss this, and we, after discussing this, if we do not change our behavior, change our attitude, then if at the end you go through a very difficult situation, then we should not regret that we didn't know about it. Because these are the things which are there so beautifully explained in our scriptures, but nobody wants to read about it. Everybody wants to read about 10th canto, where the Ras Leela is so beautifully explained, and everybody wants to understand that. But the real facts of the matter is how this Srishti was created in second and in the first canto as well, and how in this third canto, the Sankhya philosophy about the end of a human being from this world is is being described. So here in 16, Lord is saying, because over a period of time, as a car is getting old, the pistons and valves are getting choked with the engine oil burning, with oil burning, it gets choked and starts to give low mileage as it crosses 100,000, 150,000, so on and so forth. And likewise, the body, after it gets to a certain time, the arteries, the veins, the various different intestines, there are, it doesn't stay perfect. So Vayuna, by air, uh, through the pressure of the air, the eyes, when the person leaves his eyes, through the pressure of the air, the eyes bulges out. And Kapha with mucus, his his windpipe, through the lungs, the windpipe, it's all choked, it's all congested. So his breathing is the way he was breathing probably 20 years back, and now his energy levels in all these different parts of the body where Lord is energy personified, he has actually he has uh, he has created a, a a blueprint for our arrival, and he has created a blueprint for our departure. So he has pretty much decided that, things is going to take a recourse. And Ayasha, with difficulty, with a lot of difficulty, the way he was breathing earlier, with a lot of difficulty, now he's breathing. Earlier, it was not a difficulty because there was a lot of energy. So, because of this blockage everywhere, and so in terms of the blockage, mm, uh, there is, he produces a weird sound, not a normal sound, which is mentioned. And this weird sound comes, and seeing that, the relatives come, friends come, friends see that this person is lying down, beautifully explained step by step, word by word in Srimad Bhagavatam. If we follow this and we don't get rid of material affection, or rather start any detachment, then we shouldn't say we didn't know that. So the person is lying down, he's lamenting that, hey, he could have done this, he could have done that. Then he's surrounded by his relatives and friends, and when these friends, instead of encouraging him that this is the last, they say life is a preparation, death is examination, and no one knows the examination date. As he is preparing for exam, instead of encouraging him to pass with high marks, with distinction, by chanting the holy name, thinking, mananam, meditating on the forms of the Lord, instead of that, the relatives keep talking about the mundane material things. See, the time, within an hour or so, he's going to leave. But this person, the relatives are also not leaving him. Relatives are, crying and, thinking about, if you could have lived 5 days more, we could have done something else. And under this control, this person who is Sayana, who is lying down, he's still getting into a remorse situation. So what is situation? If you think about it, this condition, which is so beautifully explained by Lord Kapiladev to Mother Devahuti, about how Lord is casting his time spell and how the end game is happening. Still, we all know that everything is going to end, but the relatives and friends are not letting it go. They're trying to squeeze the last iota of material benefit or material discussion. So it is very important for all of us to recognize that when 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 Lord catches us, when Lord gets holds us, Lord holds like the cat on the right, holding babies. We are his babies. And when he holds us, it gives us pleasure. It gives us so much pleasure that you end up doing more and more and more. That love of the parental affection from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But the same Lord, when we have not incorporated detachment in our lives, and we get too much into this material benefits, which is under the captivation of illusory energy of the Lord, the same Lord appears to us as if we are a rat on the left, death personified. It's the same Lord holding. It's not as if on the right, when cat is holding the kitten, there is no less in pressure around the neck. The pressure is still there. Otherwise, the weight is going to release and you fall off. It's not as if it's less. The pressure is there, but the relationship, the the faith, the trust that my mother or father won't let me leave from the captivation when I'm in difficulty, when I'm under the guise of challenges, my mother will never leave. That assurance is enough to just keep. Look at how pleasingly this kitten is is being held, and rockingly the mother or father, in this case, is going ahead, protecting the baby. And when we do not think about the material side effects, we recognize that there are problems. So in this Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi situation, this old age is a very challenging situation, but this old age can easily be achieved and surpassed by detaching. If we are not growing detachment in after being in Krishna consciousness for so long, then actually our Acharya says you should recognize that we are not making progress. If the still cravings, the still attachment for those, niceties, material niceties are around, and we keep craving again more and more. So this is a check we all can do personally, that have we improved in Krishna consciousness? And the only yardstick, of course, your chanting will increase, of course, your devotional service will increase. But at the end of the day, if you're not feeling detached enough, then we recognize that we are not making progress. So when a crisis is, so we have these two things, right? There is a crisis and there is a conditioning. The conditioning, we have not got rid of this material attachment. We're stuck to it. We're getting more and more into this material attachment, trying to enjoy this. Uh, Sometimes what happens, we have certain knack for certain things, and we seem to be uh, good in certain study or educational area. So if you see that there is a hall and there is a fire and there is a sign which says that leave leave fast, uh, but don't run. So there is a signage like that, and you end up seeing people leaving around the stairs. Uh, but there'll be one or two people, if you see, there's too much into this education, they know something more about it. So they will get stuck there. They will say, if we don't run, how will we leave fast? And they will get stuck there. They will, uh, they caught onto that for some conditioning they have. Maybe they know that subject matter, they know the evacuation technology, they know something, and they will not leave. They will just stay in that corner and they will try to find the fault around the signage or around the process is been laid out to evacuate the factory. When the death is pounding at our doorsteps, you just run, you just surrender. You don't worry about the spelling mistake in a signage. You don't worry about the imperfection in the signage or evacuation routes. You just run, you just flee. And but the conditioning, this is just an example, the conditioning of certain persons are such that they will not leave. They're not practical. Sometimes when you end up doing things, some events or something, you resort to very practical way to do things. And sometimes it takes hours to kind of convince, because there will be someone who's stuck to one thing, and the conditioning is such that, because at the end of the day, the evacuation route may not be perfect at the time. Fire doesn't come by giving an announcement that I'll come at 6:47 p.m. It just comes. Likewise, death is like that. Death will can come anytime to anyone. So we should be prepared in the sense, what can we be prepared of? A lot of people nowadays have already done the will, or they're about to do the will. That is the material angle of it. But other than that, what can you be prepared of except to surrender, except to realize that this is a situation, everybody will go through. And Kapil Dev is so beautifully explaining it, that when this comes, the windpipes, they choke, they get all kind of noise. When the noise is institutionalized in a Sanskrit word in Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam has gone to the extent of explaining that when the choking happens, the ghura ghura noise is going to come from the throat of the person. So, to so much detail, Lord Kapiladev in his Sankhya philosophy has explained, and later we can't say we didn't read the instruction. The instruction is very much there. The instruction manual is very much there. And more we detach ourselves, just move on. Don't worry about the spelling mistakes here and there. Just make it as simple as it is acceptable, approachable, doable. At the end of the day, we have to surrender either this life or after realizing in multiple lives. So we have an opportunity, because in this life we have come to, you all have come to this beautiful organization where the systematic study, the systematic instruction manual of life to death, how to live a life and how to live our life, is so beautifully explained. And in this 15, there is a comment I read that when this person dies, he's treated like a pet dog. He's treated by his relatives like a pet dog. And which is actually just before the 16. And this pet dog, which was the 15th verse, I mean, when the person is about to leave, he eats very little. So whatever is given to him is he eats. And sometimes his relatives also do not stay with him, because after 9 p.m., 10 p.m., relatives had to leave, and he has to live his life alone in certain, hospital or care or wherever. So, so it is challenging, but it can be made easier by following the principles and instructions given by Srimad Bhagavatam. and it is not very difficult. Everybody goes through that. And when Srila Prabhupada in 1977 was in Vrindavan, when he was about to depart, he was constantly thinking about how this organization is going to sustain after his departure from this material world. And so in 1977, he called out in the middle of night one of the GBC members, and long story short, one thing he mentioned, in order to run an organization, there is one thing, there are so many things. You need a land, you need funds and everything, the accounting principles. But one thing you need, Prabhupada said, is intelligence. We have to use the right intelligence in right way to further the, and Prabhupada is not creating a message about himself or what he is creating. He's essentially redelivering some of the facts written thousands and thousands of years ago by so many exemplary personalities through Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. So because of application of intelligence at the right time will further the cause. So anytime we realize we are lack of intelligence, seek help, because you are not alone and you don't know, not a single person knows everything in this world. More we collaborate, more we share, more we disseminate information and use it for different activities, our activities will come out better. And that applies everywhere. But today it's about death personification and how by surrendering we can detach ourselves, and soon we become numb in our ability to tackle and face the ultimate truth, death. So thank you so much for your kind attention. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Hema Jagannath. We'd like to wish everybody a safe and Krishna conscious day ahead. We'd like to offer our prayers to the Supreme Lord by chanting Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Rama,
Rama Rama Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Hare Hare,
Krishna,
Hare Rama, Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Rama
Hare.
Rama.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare
Krishna
Rama,
Hare
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 Rama,
Hare
Rama
Rama
Rama,
Rama
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama.
Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna, Hare
Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Hare, Hare Rama, Hare
Rama Hare
Rama,
Hare
Rama
Rama
Rama,
Rama
Hare
Rama,
Rama
Rama.
Hare Hare. Shri Nrsimha Jai Nrsimha Jai Jai
Jai Jai
Nrsimha
Nrsimha
Pralatesha Jaya
Sujaya
Padma
Padmam
Mukha Padma Janta
Padmam Ugram Viram Mahavishnu
Ugraveeram
Jalantam
Veera
Mahavishnu
Mahavishnu
Jalantam
Jalantam Sarvatmamukam
Sarvatamukam
Narsimham
Narsingham
Nrsimham
Vishnu
Vishnu
Bhadram
Bhadram
Mrityunjayam
Mrityunjayamami.
Jai Bhagwan ki Jai Prahlad Maharaj.
Jai, Jai.
Let's offer our humble obeisances to all the Samal Vaishnavas.
Vanchakalpatarubhasya
Hindu
Kripasindhu Bhavacha Patitanam
Patitanam Pavane Bhayo Vaishnavevam
Vaishnava
Vaishnavinda ki Jai Granth
Jai,
Bhagavatam ki Jai Srila
Jai,
Prabhupada ki Jai Gaur
Jai.
Premanande Hari Hari.
Hari, Hari,
Hare
Hari,
Hare
Hari.
Bol.
Thank
Thank you,
you,
Hema
everybody.
Jagannath.
Hari Bol.
Thank you,
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.